I was born in a very special period of Chinese history, a dramatic period, which is Cultural Revolution. I was born in 1961, and then the Cultural Revolution started in 1966. So a lot of dramatic things happening around us. You know, I see when you're very small, you see people just jumping from the building next door. I was really lucky enough to have met my music teacher, lively young Chinese girl in her early 20s. So she offered me during 2 years, every evening when she's available, when I'm available, free singing lessons. She's very good playing piano. So she accompanied for free. This is totally for free. She's very proud to have a student who have a beautiful voice. And then one day, I went to the school, like every day in the morning, and I saw a gathering of people in front of the big entrance door with some letters written there. And from that day, my music teacher just disappeared. She never came back. I don't know where she is. I'm not sure that something serious happened to her, but she just disappeared from my horizon. It's only a few years after, when I reach adolescence, when I grow up, that I understand in one of the conversations with my family members, they told me that she disappeared, I don't know where, because she had a sexual relationship with my Chinese teacher. And both of them are unmarried. So it's a sexual relationship out of marriage, which is completely forbidden. So I'm telling the story is just to situate my childhood in this historical environment, which is dramatic. In 1976, I just celebrate my 15 years anniversary. And then one day I arrived at the school without noticing anything. And then teacher told me, Li, come to my office. And then she said, the Chinese Army opera is coming to the school to select future actors and actresses, and we suggested your name, and they are going to come to the school. You're going to prepare a few songs and perform in front of them, and to see if you would be accepted. I was proud, and the school is proud of me, because at that time, Army is considered as the best issue for any student for the rest of the career, and people just feel glorious to have a member of the family entering into the Army. And I remember very well that day, the truck came in front of the school, and then the whole area where I live, they sent a delegation with drums, with music to accompany the departure of selected students. So the truck is going from one school to the other school, pick up the students who are being selected to send to the Army. We were happy at the departure, but once we reached the Army, we were all about between 13, 15 years old, and in the evening we cry because we had homesick. My relationship with music is kind of a lost love. It's an unsuccessful love story, by the sense that when I moved to France, I was not able to continue singing as a Chinese opera singer, because it's totally different style. So my profession is just cut into two without me being able to do anything. So music stayed in my, like two big balls here, I cannot swallow it. So when the love story is broken, you tend to think about it all the time in a very obsessive way. That's why music today is becoming one of the major source of inspiration, either in my painting or in my installation. Everything is quite related to music. When I'm in this studio, the morning when I arrived here, the first thing I do is turn up the CD. And my favorite piece is Rachmaninoff, piano piece, piano prelude, I think it's L'étude des tableaux. The title of this music is Étude des tableaux, study of
painting.
painting. From a historical viewpoint, nobody knows which precisely painting has inspired him, the music, but it is so beautiful. Actually, I think to become an artist, it's almost not, I would say, okay, it's my choice, but this choice is being provoked by the encounter with Venice, with Italy, with the Renaissance art. Before that, that is in the early 90s, I was still a student at Sorbonne University in philosophy, and also singer at Paris Opera, in the choir of Paris Opera, which is composed by amateurs, not professionals, but they're really great level. They're of great level. And one day, I decided to travel to Italy. Before that day, I heard from French people that Italy is full of thieves, so don't go there. I said, no, I will discover that country. It's so close. I arrived in Venice. It was just such a shock. It's, I think, the most overwhelming experience, aesthetic experience discovered that I've ever had in my life. La Scuola Grande di San Rocco, l'Accademia, so all those museums and galleries and churches full of artworks. It is so striking, so overwhelming that I spent 3 days there, and then I went back the week after, and then a month after I started to enroll into Italian language lessons. It is become a necessity, starting to paint. I don't understand how could one come back from Italy without starting painting today. This is the beginning of everything. And after learning all the bases of Western art, I continue, of course, to London for some more contemporary art practices. So instead of saying that I choose to be artist, I think Italy has chosen me. I discovered the work of Anselm Kiefer during my trip in Berlin, and I still remember the huge portrait he realized on the President Mao. So it's captured my attention. It's not really subject-related experience. It's the material, it's the strength, it's the whole spiritual world that he succeed to convey over his work. It is a very strong expression. I've never met the artist, but he definitely is one of my idol in the contemporary art. And also what make me feel close to Anselm Kiefer's universe is that in one of the interviews with Financial Times, he said, in art, you cannot avoid beauty. Because, of course, my major problem in my art, through all my experience of art practice, is that beauty is being put away since the beginning of modern art history. Beauty is not you have to pursue. It's probably self-expression, individuality, inventivity, or all different kind of things, which is under the light of today's art scene. But as soon as you talk about beauty, you're perceived as a conservative, as old-fashioned. So from that viewpoint, I would say after the dramatic experience in China during this 10 years Cultural Revolution, where beauty is literally forbidden. Women has no right to make up. They could not, people in the street could meet the Red Guards who cut their hairs, and destroy their shoes if they're too beautiful, cut their dresses. And my grandmother has a beautiful Chinese dress that she hide at the bottom or even at the ceiling, so that people won't discover that beautiful dress in silk. You know, its beauty is forbidden not only in private life but also in artistic production. Beauty for me is essential as a personal experience, as a personal pursuit. When we talk about beauty, we distinguish with beautiful objects, which a lot of people contest also, because beauty today is considered as a subjective perception of the thing. Of course, all perception is associated with personal experience, with cultural background, so we don't perceive the same thing with the same eye, because it's involved a whole personality, history. I do believe there is a certain degree of subjectivity in the reception of artworks, but I spend from the morning to the evening in this studio, in other studios, just fighting to create some works which obey to the rule of harmony from compositional viewpoints, from color viewpoint. So if there is no something basic rule of harmony in painting, why should I fight for that? Why should I fight in my studio to try to find it? So how do you distinguish masterpieces or just a crap? I believe personally there is apart from our subjective perception of the thing, I believe there is a basic rule of harmony and beauty in the process of creation. We cannot talk about black and white without referring to the Chinese cosmology, which is the famous yin and yang. I think everybody have maybe already seen it once in their life, the circle which combines one part the yin, the other part the yang. Yin is represented by black, yang by white. It is two opposing but also complementary forces which contains the essential understanding of the universe, of cosmos, day and night, feminine, masculine, and the strength and softness, water, mountain. So black and white represent the essential thing of the Chinese perception of the world and of life. That's why most of the Chinese painters prefer to take off the colors which distract us from the fundamental understanding of the world. So they mostly, since I think 12th century, most of the Chinese painters prefer to work in black and white with Chinese ink painting. Another reason is that I feel very much close to the black and white universe is that basically in China, Chinese art history, you have three schools, painting schools. You have the popular art. Pop is not pop art, it's popular art. So popular art is usually very, very colorful. I can supply some images. And then you have the second school, which is also very, have a millennial history, is religious painting, which you can find in different kind of temples. There is a real, it's a very narrative kind of painting with storytelling, very precise. And then you have the last, I believe, the most important form of painting, which is the painting of the literati. I'm saying it in Italian, the painting of intellectuals. So those painters basically are not professional. They are poets, they're writers, they're intellectuals, they're philosophers, but they practice painting mostly in black and white and mostly landscape. It's all depend on the subject that you want to choose. So as my artistic universe is pretty philosophical and spiritual, so I can't imagine I can insert gold, red, yellow, pink on the surface of my painting. Through the black and white, the transparency, I'm trying to invite the viewers for journey, spiritual journey, for some meditation. Masterpiece must be the best combination of the subject and a material incarnation. So the subject is here, and the subject condemn almost the material, the choice of the material. So there is a connection between the spiritual world and the materials that you choose. I mean, material. When I talk about material, is the painting, the whole aesthetic atmosphere of your work. And this black and white, when we talk about yin, it inspires me very much, because those two opposing forces are not static, because they're embracing each other, if you see this. And in this embracement, in this encounter, you feel the movement, and the movement is life. Movement is fluid, like water. It's life, it's energy. So from just very simple black and white, you perceive the movement of life. You can see my personal experience, which is also shared by many artists who live across different continents. Because Chinese ink traditionally are painted over very thin papers, rice papers. Paper is very, very fragile. So as I have gone through the training of contemporary art, contemporary mixed media painting, I wanted to introduce texture, collage, all what I've learned in the Western countries into the Oriental aesthetic, just mix up everything to give birth to something brandly new, just to make the Chinese painting evolve in the time, to update it into contemporary art language. I have a preferred Chinese painter, but is not a Chinese ink painter. But I would invent a word. Although he paints only in oil or acrylic, but he paints oil and acrylic inkly. Inkly is my new word to describe his work, because he's an oil painter, but his surface is very liquid, and on top of this very lyrical kind of build-up of surface, he introduced some calligraphical quality figures, which is, you can see, very very quick and very dynamic. And when you observe the catalog of the painter in black and white, they become all ink painting. But when they see them in real, in an exhibition hall with colors, they're oil painting. So his name is Zawuki. And I am lucky enough to have seen twice time in my life my work hanging next to him. So one is in the French embassy, and the other one is during my show in the Asian Art Museum in Nice. It was a great honor. First of all, I think I can't paint without music, and all what I do, as long as I can, with the limit of technical possibility, is to contribute, to create a tribute, homage to different composers that I love. So that's maybe one of the reasons you see almost all my paintings have a musical title. Apart from this, I have also the installation part. And I started a very important project of installation with musical instruments, which is evolved into a multimedia installation in Beijing, the Chinese Opera House, in collaboration with the China National Symphony Orchestra. And they asked me to invite the French conductor from Paris Opera, Philippe Jordan, who is, I think, still conducting the Vienna Opera today. I was sincerely very much honored by his presence, which enabled me to combine the visual art and the music in the same place. And the place created, Beijing Opera, is created by French architect Paul Lantrol. Getting into installation is because I think to express my love to music. Painting is getting a little bit too flat, too limited in two-dimension works. So I want to just physically get into music by working on musical instruments. The work that inspired me, this installation, is called, the title is Cantable pour archer, so cantable for string. The composer is from Latvia, Peter Vask. And when I discovered his music, it's like, I think I have the same sensation as my experience in Venice. It is something so overwhelming. I bought the CD from La Fnac, and then I accumulate some classical music CDs in my room. I have so many of them, so I listen to them one by one. And then 1 year after, I started to listen to his music because I need something new. And then I said, wow, this is the music of my life. This is incredible. I have to do something. This music has to inspire me something. So cantable pour archer, cantable for string. So it's, from the title, it's directly related to string instruments. And I was lucky enough because at the time, there is a Chinese company, official state-owned company, who produced violins and cellos, and then it go bankrupt. And so this, the workers who live in this school, in this company, they started to produce themselves in the small village. So basically the factory shifted into small villages around Beijing. So you have a violin village around Beijing. So I started to visit those villages and talk with the producer, the factory, the head of the factory. I said, I need to buy your violins, but you have to stop in the middle. Don't put any colors over the violin because I need to paint over it. And starting from those violins that I covered with calligraphy, my photography and painting, I set them up into a physical installation at the Opera House in Beijing for the first time, and then in some other places. So that's how Precious Strands of Music inspired me. I was born in Beijing. I became French in 1986 precisely. So I would say that China offered me life, offered me also some basic aesthetic environment. I grew up also surrounded by calligraphy and Chinese painting, but France offered me a total freedom of creation, of thinking.